Good morning. I'm in my green screen studio today with Sarah Hackett from Brandjam. Say hello, Sarah.
Hello, Sarah.
So
Nice,
so we sorry,
nice to see you, Roy.
nice to see you too. We were talking a while ago, and I said marketing. What's the point? I mean, why don't we just ditch the marketing budget? And because it makes perfect sense. I'm a sales guy. I mean, why is marketing worth anything? And Sarah seemed to balk at that because Sarah does. What do you do, Sarah?
So we are a creative agency that we specialise in branding and content creation. But within that, we help in an advisory role, help people plan marketing strategies and marketing plans and get the best for their budgets, essentially.
Nah, yeah. So yeah, it goes completely against everything that I think. So we're going to have a bit of a bun fight here today.
Yeah.
So tell me about marketing because when I first heard the word marketing, I went advertising.
Mm,
And what's the point of it? No one reads adverts, and the world's changed a bit since then
mm,
because I mean they could barely print in colour
mm.
when I was looking at that. But what is marketing, and what sort of people should think about actually getting involved with marketing in their business, and what stage of their business should it be in? Just give me a bit of a a feeling from the first nervous twitch
No,
to what's marketing to what it actually means.
I suppose back in the day, everybody thought marketing was just advertising. It's just about selling products to people, and that's it. And that is the traditional view, and some of that is true, but it's just one of the elements. I mean, if you go back and you think of marketing as a whole, we get involved in pricing, we get involved in product development, we can get involved in actually the tactical market activity planning. Get involved in market research, brand research, writing customer profiles, positioning, where should you, your competitor analysis, where should you be in the market, and there's actually quite a lot of tasks encompassed in that whole term of marketing.
All right. All
And
right.
this,
I mean, that's, for a simple soul like me,
mm,
that sounds all very, very clever, but I get it. So what sort of traits? I mean, as I'm a small company,
yeah.
and I mean, we have a big department somewhere over the pond doing a lot of this stuff for me. But
Mm.
but when what sort of stage? What's the first inclination that people should have that would get you involved? Why would they? What sort of things are they seeing in their world?
Um, People tend to come to us when they have a problem, and the problem is either we can't get enough leads in, or we're not converting very well, or people are interested in what we do, but somewhere along the line we lose them and we can't get them over the line. Or the other problem is it's like we get customers, we sell to them, and then we never hear from them again. So marketing can get involved in all of those stages, from the actual awareness point, so making people know that you exist. I mean, you can have the most fantastic product in the world, but if no one knows you exist, you're never going to sell. That whole out of sight, out of mind comes into play there. Marketing gets involved in, once you've got someone's interest, it's like, well, how do you keep that interest? How do you educate people? How do you get them to think actually your product or your service is better than anybody else's on the market? And then when they get to that evaluation stage, marketing gets involved at that point again. It's kind of like, well, what do we need? Where's the credibility? How do we get the testimonials? How do we get the case studies? How do we get people to really see us as a credible company offering a really credible product or service that offers that particular customer value for money? Then once
Yeah.
they've evaluated you, you then have to convert them. So, we say to sales
But
teams,
just hang on before we go too far.
the
Um, they it was something that got me. It was the traits that people have.
yeah,
That they're saying, um, I am feeling this, and what they are feeling is they've got great products, great services, and they probably think there should be an orderly queue forming outside their door to take this off their hands, and that isn't happening.
Yeah.
And that's one of the traits. So when someone comes to a marketing agency like yourself, what is step one? Because I'm sure there's it feels to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, there's people who do no marketing, they have a business,
Yeah.
and then they somehow get to a stage in their business, and then it's a step change. Let's have marketing.
Yeah.
But there's that bit in between. It's maybe they would get to that next level quicker. And can you feed marketing in, sort of just accelerate this, or is it literally a step change?
I think every small business needs marketing, even if you're just a freelancer or just a one-man band, really tiny business. Everybody needs to do some marketing, because if people don't know you exist, they can't come to you to buy from you. So we get involved. And what I find a lot of smaller businesses do is they think, right, I need to market, I need to sell, I'm going to throw spaghetti at the wall, take a really ad hoc approach and see what sticks and see what works. They do that for 6 to 12 months, and then they suddenly realise, and actually I'm putting all this time, effort, and money into trying to market, but it's not working.
So what does that typically look like? You say, I mean, I've heard this throw spaghetti against the wall phrase. So they start to win a business, and so what you're saying is people are doing it themselves and putting lots of time and energy into doing this and actually not doing what they do well.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can take the form of perhaps a bit of sporadic content creation, perhaps a bit of social media post publishing every now and again. You know, when an idea strikes, they'll bounce on that and then they'll post it, but then you might not hear from them for a couple of weeks again. You can get, sporadic blog posting. It's like you have a website, but does anybody actually look at the analytics to see what people are doing on that website? So there's lots of things like that as well. It's there's a lot that it's very sporadic. I wouldn't say it's particularly. It's quite knee-jerk sometimes, and companies often come to us and say, I am doing all this marketing, but it's not working, and that's often the pain point that we hear all the time. And the first thing we will do is, before we actually say, right, you need to do this, this, and this, and this, is actually sit down, have a quite frank, open, honest discussion with them and just say, what is it that you're doing? Let's audit what you're doing. Let's audit where you want to be. What are your goals? How many sales do you need? What do you need to make each month to cover your wages and your cost base and your expenses, and then make a profit on top of that? Where do you want the company to be? Do you want to sell it when you retire, or is it just a lifestyle business? And all these questions can impact the kind of marketing activities that you would do and the resources you put into marketing going forward.
So I mean, I've picked up a couple of things here, and I particularly like the throw spaghetti against the wall, sporadic when they have a bright idea, knee jerk. I mean, why is that a bad thing? I mean, just doing something's good, right? I mean, why is that even a bad thing?
Yeah, I mean, doing something is better than doing nothing. I would agree with that, but it does need some thought. It does need, it's like you can be doing all these things, but do you actually know if you're talking to the right people? Are you appearing in the right places? If you have an older demographic, for example, is being on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook the right place?
But you're talking about me now, aren't you?
Not at all, right? Not at all. So you really
see what you did there. I mean, what's wrong with tactic? I mean, that's a great thing. I've never been on it, but it's
what tactic? Oh, TikTok.
That's the one.
I was going to say, I'm getting confused now. Tactics and TikTok. TikTok's great. I mean, you can get lost in TikTok, but it's one of those things that I think, if you're going to do it, you really need to understand the type of people that are on TikTok, because your part of your life can get swallowed up just trying to create content for TikTok. It's very video based and driven. You need to make sure that that's what your audience want to see. So that's the thing, essentially. It's like, who's your audience? Who are you selling to? Where do they hang out? And what do they need?
That's the phrase I'm looking for. You've got to hang out
where
they hang out.
Yeah. You can't
Uh,
expect people to come to you. That times have changed. Times have changed where you would have a storefront and you would put some out of home advertising up, like what you call them? Those big advertising boards. I can't think what they're called, right? A bit billboard type of things. And you know, in the day, you would just expect people to like see your advert, see an advert on TV, and they'll just turn up to the store and buy your products. Times have changed now. You know, you have a website, but that doesn't mean to say people are going to come to you. You have to kind of promote your stuff to people all the time. You have to go to them, and you have to hang out in all the places where they're most likely to see your content.
Yeah, I like that. So hang out in the right places.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, I'm thinking of companies that, to say, a lot of people do it themselves, and some people just employ people in house and do it themselves, and it still doesn't really work. What sort of clues would someone have that what they are currently doing isn't the right thing? Because there's got to be that change, and we see in sales that 80% of every engagement leads in no change. You know, they continue doing what they're doing, and that sort of 20% which can change. How would they know they absolutely should change? What clues are coming to them that they're looking at and we're doing all of this stuff, we're feeling really good about it, and we've got all this stuff everywhere, and therefore it must be working. And it's like in sales, you know, if a salesperson sells, it's because they're a sales genius. If they fail to sell, it's because the customer's an idiot. And it probably works the same in bad marketing. You know, if they happen to, if something happens to go well, it's because they're a marketing genius. But if it doesn't go so well, it's because the people are idiots and don't get it. So what sort of clues? You know, if there was a checklist of 3, 4, 5 things that a company who does some sort of marketing, whether it's knee-jerk and sporadic, or actually through an organization or through their own department, what sort of clues or what sort of things can they look for that makes them go, something stinks, this is not going well? What are the clues?
As a marketeer, I would. Marketing is an art and a science. So definitely look at data, and is there a disconnect with what you're doing, the ideas, the content you're putting out, and the data that's coming back? You know, you've got to be measuring the right thing. You know, if you're putting a load of content or blog posts up on websites, for example, hoping it will drive traffic to the website and therefore get them to be interested, you know, you've got to be looking at your analytics and thinking, actually, are people going to the website? Does that blog post send them elsewhere? What happens when they move along? And that's why, so the data has to make sense. The data has.
It's all about data, and you know, is it fair to say that a lot of people don't even know where the data is and wouldn't know what was in front of them?
No, there are so many people that do not look at data. I mean, I've worked with companies and they're doing a ton of marketing, and I'll say, well, what does the data tell you? You know, are you getting signups? What's the conversion rate? How many people are looking at this stuff? And it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't really look at any of it. I just do it and put it out. And you're only getting half the story when you do that.
Are you getting as much as half if you don't do that?
Possibly even not. You know, it's like this is here to, the data is there to help you. It's not there to control the ideas, but it's there to help you make informed.
I love that.
Yeah, you can get some really good insights from data, and it can help you make those informed decisions. And if you're spending money on a particular marketing activity and you know you're getting no sign-ups, or you're getting no traction, no one's looking at it, you know, you take a step back and you think, well, why is that? Can we tweak it, or is it just not worth doing at all?
So that's the first thing, really, then, isn't it? That if they're not looking at the data, how do they know which direction to go if they don't know where they are?
Yeah, it's a starting point, isn't it? You know, you need benchmarks. You need benchmarks in order to measure the activity and the goals. And if you've got big corporate, you know, if you've got big corporate goals and you've got people higher up sort of looking at what you're doing, you know, you need to be able to be accountable and say, look, this market activity, it costs this, but we're getting that from it. There needs to be some traceable results for your efforts, I believe.
Right. Okay. So what else is there? Because I've got my main point here now. For someone who thinks they're doing marketing, and I guess not you and not most marketeers and maybe some of the amateurs out there who just do it in addition to their other job, their day job. If the leader or the owner of the business says, what does the data do? And they hear and they don't know what the data's doing and they don't even know where to start, they should contact someone like you.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
There's like hundreds of metrics that you can cherry pick out the sky for different types of marketing activity. And a marketing budget and a marketing activity plan is going to be so different for each company. There is no one size fits all. So you need to have your investment budget, which is about your brand building. It's about your bigger projects. So, for example, if you need a CRM system and new websites, these are one-off costs that you factor in. That's your investment budget, because that is building the look and the feel and the presence in the marketplace.
All right. Okay. So I mean, this is great stuff. We're getting a bit deep for a simple bloke like me. Second thing they should look for that says, I can do better in this, and I probably need help. We've done the data thing. Someone turns around and says, yep, we look at the data and we're doing things with it. They might be not doing it so well, but we don't know at the moment. What's the next thing?
I'd certainly talk to your teams. You want to talk to people that are directly liaising with customers. So whether that's your sales team, whether it's your customer support team, people like that who actually have direct conversations with your customers, because that's really qualitative data. Again, it's data, but it's sentiment, and you can get a really good feel for the perception people have of your company, how they feel about you, if they want to do business with you, if there are any problems, what are they flagging? I always love sort of 4-star reviews. I mean, 5-star reviews are awesome, and that suggests everything's perfect. But the 4-star reviews just suggest there's something there that you can improve on, and that's where the gold dust is really. Because if you can identify that, you've got leverage to make something even better.
Oh, I like that, and interestingly enough, talking about reviews, the next one of these that I'm doing, I still haven't got a proper title for it. I was thinking of calling it Z-listers, because none of the people I talk to will ever be on one of these celebrity shows.
Yeah.
But that's probably a bit rude, isn't it? Do you want to come on my Z-listers? Maybe excess. I don't know. But next week I'm talking to a guy, Ian Kelsall, about customer reviews and customer service. So again, I'm just thinking joined up thinking here. And I love what you say, just looking at the 4-star reviews and
down as well, not just 4-star, but 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. They all offer insights as to where you can improve, where you think actually, like, I think this is a great idea, but that's not resonating.
I'd love that. Offer insights, and my thought was then going to what your staff are saying. And we at Sandler, we did something recently about how marketing and sales don't usually connect. We sort of scowl at each other and both think we're a waste of good money. We need better marketing, not those salespeople. They know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And the salespeople scowl at the marketeers and going, well, they're not worth anything. Let's ditch the marketing budget because it makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
But do you see much of this connectivity between sales and marketing? Does that happen much?
It did. I mean, I'm getting on now. I'm in my early 40s, but when I started in marketing, I was the client side, and I spent 10 years client side in different sales teams. So, my job was to support the sales team, and where there was collaboration, open communication between marketing and sales, it really, really worked. It really worked. And they had much better performance than the organisations where I've worked, where there's a disconnect, where the sales teams think marketing just sits behind the desk and is not in touch with the real world, and the marketing team just thinks actually sales, all they're interested in is getting their commission and not necessarily how they're presenting the company or giving the customer a great experience. So I've worked in both environments where there's that disconnect.
There's probably more than a grain of truth in what you just said.
Yeah,
More than a grain of truth.
Yeah, but honest, hand on heart, where I've worked, where there has been really open, honest communication and continual meetings with one another, and the disconnect occurs when sales don't understand what marketing does and marketing doesn't understand what sales does. That's where the disconnect is.
So hang on. Sales and marketing just don't understand each other.
Yeah, and my point is, it's the north-south divide, isn't it? They're polar opposites. Marketing sit at the top, directing what should be done, giving sales ideas that they just can't sell. Sales sit at the bottom and think, none of this works. The leads you provide me are rubbish, I can't convert them. But somewhere in the middle, they either need to meet at the east or the west point. They need to meet halfway, and they need to understand the roles that each are doing. My job as a marketer is to say to sales, right, this is the research I've done, this is the competitor analysis I've done, this is our positioning, this is where I think we should sit in the market. You speak to customers on a day-to-day basis, tell me all about them. Let's build a customer persona together. Let's build a customer journey map. Tell me where you're finding it hard to convert. Tell me where the issues are or the gaps are, and then let's try and create those supporting sales materials that you need to be able to go the whole journey with this particular customer.
It's interesting. I've worked with some of the biggest companies in the world in sales. Never had that conversation.
Yeah.
Never had that conversation.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because you've probably got two teams of very, very talented individuals that know their individual jobs really well, but don't quite know how to use each other to an advantage in order to benefit the company as a whole. Because you're all on the same team, ultimately. You're all kind of trying to move a company forward, or even if it's your own business, you're all working towards the same goal. Why be opposed to each other? Why not just sit down around the table and just say, look, let's hash this out and let's have regular review meetings to make sure that what we're doing is right. And that's, in an ideal world, how it should be.
That's tremendous. So I've got something here that would help me to recognise when someone's in some of the questions that we've got. And I'm just going to go through them as I caught them, just see if I understood them, because I can be a bit daft. So, companies who are not looking, anyone who's watching this, companies who are not looking at the data or don't even know where the data is, it's probably valuable for them to have a conversation with you or someone like you. That's the first thing. That's the major thing. The second thing is when they're looking at their reviews and the 4, 3, 2, and 1 star reviews, the detractors, as it were. There's a story there to be found out what that looks like. That's the second thing. So if you're getting sub 5 stars, there's something going on that you guys might be able to help.
Yeah.
The third thing is if they look at their sales function and they look at their marketing function, there is no real collaboration to develop stuff, and that's a bit of a red flag as well.
Yeah.
And I think as a solution to that, rather than another point, a solution to that is get them in the same room and ask them, what do you think marketing does, and ask the marketing people what salespeople do. And again, we go together to start educating each other. And we've got a great document that I'm more than happy to send out, which is about sales and marketing collaboration. And I think that's quite nice. So it's okay. I've got those 3 points. They're the major points that should give people a thing that says, speak to Sarah. And we've got a couple of minutes left. And I mean, this is the bit where you get to sort of tell me about what's your most exciting marketing job, and what came out of it. It's keeping within confidentiality boundaries, obviously.
I think for us, it's. I mean, we love to work with companies that do good in the world. You know, that do something with the profits they make in terms of whether it's creating jobs or doing something good for the environment, or it's a charity or something like that. So we love to work with organisations that do that. But I think what's been really, really lovely over the last few years is we've had a lot of companies that stopped marketing during COVID. It was almost, they treated it like a bit of a recession, and they didn't know what to do, and they just stopped. And we picked up a couple of clients just as the pandemic was coming to an end, and we just rebooted their marketing. We did the audit, say, right, what have we not done? What do we need to do? Who are your customers? How have they changed from before the pandemic to now? You know, are they still buying in the same way? Their attitude's still the same? And then we just wrote strategies, and we wrote marketing plans. We put together an activity list, and we put it into action. And a lot of those companies, or a lot of those clients now, are really starting to see an upturn in their business. So they've gone from no activity, really struggling to find sales, not being seen for a year or two, to actually be doing really, really well, standing on their own 2 feet again, and actually in good shape to go into the next recession. You know, and I think for me, it's kind of like, I get really proud when they say, well, I understand marketing now. I understand that it needs to be a consistent approach. There needs to be action taken every month. There needs to be three-month reviews. We need to look at it consistently, and we need to actually put aside a marketing budget every year, not just wait until we get a good idea or there's some funds available in order to do a bit of marketing here and there. And that to me is really...
I love that statement. We've got a bit of money to do a bit of marketing.
Yeah, we hear that all the time. It's like, well, you know, ideally you look at your turnover and you need to take a percentage of that turnover and allocate that into a marketing pot. And then that marketing pot needs to be split between your investment stuff, so your bigger projects, and then your performance marketing, which are your campaigns to get sales in and things like that. So, you know,
I like that investment stuff and performance marketing. I love I love these phrases, and I'm learning a lot. I've made a lot of notes. We got about 2.5 minutes left, and so I'm getting the feeling that again, you know, there's going to be a lot of people who are needing a reboot.
Yeah,
and
I just think sometimes just having a fresh pair of eyes can be really helpful. When you're in your business, sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. And when people come to us, it's always no obligation. You know, we don't expect people to stay with us forever. It might be that we just come in and help them understand their position now, give them some tools and plans, and then they go away and do it themselves. Or they say to us, right, can you produce the content? We agree with everything you say. Let's give it a year, and we'll work together collaboratively. I can never say that word, and see where we are in 12 months' time.
This is tremendous, and the sort of the things I'm getting that's educated me is, because I'm an engineer, I love data. I love data, and I feel, you know, if something's a bit fluffy, and not that marketeers are ever fluffy.
We can be.
But you know, as soon as you started talking about data, so you've got something you can grab hold of, and then say, here's where we are now, and then look down the line and say, this is heading in the right direction, we should continue. And this is really a phrase I use a lot. What should we do more of? What should we do better? And what should we do different? And that's really pressed all my buttons for marketing.
I think to summarize it, right, like looking at data, listening to your customers, understanding who they are, talking to your people on the ground can actually spark better creativity. It can make you more creative rather than drain it away. So you put all that into the mixing pot, and you get a couple of people around the table, and you talk through the ideas and the solutions and the plans, and you can get some really good marketing out of it. You just need to do that homework. You need to not put the cart before the horse. You need to think first and then do.
Right. We're in our last 30 seconds. Sarah.
Yeah.
How can they get hold of you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Sarah Hackett. I can put a link. You can also email me at sarah@brandjam.uk, and call me on 07984 313 393. There you go.
That's lovely. We've got about 5 seconds left. Sarah, really appreciate it. You've taught me something about marketing, all about data. You can find the data. I didn't know there was so much data available in marketing, so you've educated me. Thank you very much. Say goodbye, Sarah.
Bye-bye, Sarah. See you, Roy.
Bye-bye. Let's just end this stream while we're ahead.